What is up, guys? In this video I'm going to just be doing a little buzz cut, a little 8 on top, and then I'm going to just show you how I usually do my fades as well. So very easy one to use in the shop. Obviously it's just a buzz cut on top, so nothing too crazy going on with that. Okay, so the one thing we have to notice with this haircut is this whole fringe is like one big cow's lick. So we've got one on this side where the hair is growing down this way. This hair kind of grows up, and then I don't know what this side does really. This side kind of grows down the way but then curls back up as well. It splits like in here and then also there too. So we usually shape this bit up, and then his hair kind of curls over this way anyway. See how it's all flicking, and just keep this side natural and it all sits over. So I'm going to do an 8 on top. And then we're just going to do a skin fade and shape the beard up a bit as well. And use the comb to lift all the hairs up so you get under them all evenly as well. Make sure you don't miss any. Started getting really bad hay fever right as we started doing this as well. So you can even hear when you lift it up with the comb as well, you can hear all the little ones that it's missed, that it's not got under. Sweet. I'm going to do a 2 guard now. I'm just going to work up the head, slim all this in and debulk it. And I always like to think when you're fading, you should be aiming for something above. A lot of people scoop out like this and they create like a curved line and create too much weight, especially on this type of hair where it's straight and it's this short a haircut. I like to go like up and through. So when I'm showing people how to do it, especially when they're new, I'd hold a comb up here. You're coming up, and as the head rounds away, you just keep going straight. And it allows you to start doing it, probably go on this side. And you're using just a little bit of pressure as well. Like I always like to think you're squeezing these 2 fingers, using this one to balance, and you're pushing into the head and up. Keep those teeth pointing almost down and in the way. A lot of people spend the whole time doing this, and you're just going to be at it for ages. I'll just do one side at a time as well to save spinning the chair around loads. Make sure you get all in all the hairline. It's not alright. So you're going to get trimmer next, the shortest trimmer you have. I'm just going to put the skin line in, so you can use fingers to kind of dictate where it is if you find it hard. So maybe like a normal fade, a high fade, 4 fingers, do a low fade. But I think when you start getting good at it and you start learning all your clients, you can kind of just eyeball it. You want to be giving yourself enough space to fade into. Watch out for like divots and dents in the bone. You don't want to end the skin line on one of these bones and you've got a fade on top of that, because it just makes it so much harder and you end up with like a lot more dark spots. So I'm going to start from around here, just under the C cup. I'm just going to dip it down and just keep it just under the occipital. And while I got my trimmers as well, just do any little bits. It's easy, because anything you're going to have to foil, you may as well just get at the start when you're using those tools, instead of going back and forwards between the tools. So I'm going to get the foils and I'm going to go down a few times to take the hair as short as you can, going like with the grain. And then when it's shorter, it'll make it easier and have less resistance. And I'm going to come back up in circles. So I'm not putting any lines in, it just blends out. I'm going to just stop just a little bit underneath this line there. So yeah, I'm going to come down the way with the grain, take it short, and then I'm going to come back up against the grain. And I'm going to stop a little bit under this line so that I'm not foiling right into here. So striking down the way, all behind the ear, and this is just taking it a little bit shorter, just so that it's easier to make bald with a foil. And then we're going to come back up, and you can press in pretty hard here. And as long as you're going in little circles, you shouldn't leave any lines. Right, next we're going to get the 1.5, and then we're just going to start working down the way. So I like using this one guard, I like the old ones. I don't know why they work better than everything else, but they do. And I'm just going to flick into the 2, but still using that straight up motion. So opening the clippers up like this to 1.5. You're still going to press with a decent bit of pressure on the head here. And you're just going to go straight through. the faster you learn how to move the clippers, the better the fade will actually come out, because you're gliding through the hairs faster instead of straight through. Keep the angle of the clipper forward the whole time. You want it to be like this, not like that. This bit here. And any little bits in here that you think you can touch up later, we can use the other guard for at the end. We're going to do mostly all the fade before we go back and refine it all. And you'll hear, because you'll stop being able to hear it cutting the hair. Let me just close it straight to the one. Same thing, but slightly smaller flicks. I'm putting a bit more of my finger and wrist into it now. Still pressing in pretty hard. Just stacking the guard lengths on top of each other. So you're almost like pushing the next one into the old one, flicking just off a little bit. I've done the one there, took the guard off. I'm going to go to 0.5. And again, the flicks are just going to get smaller as we go. So this is going to be nearly all my fingers now. I'm not really pushing my elbow or my arm into it much anymore. And you can not really hear much coming anymore because it's already quite short. You can see just, you start getting like dark spots appearing just where the lengths are merging together. You can actually see as well how like there's almost like a ridge of bone that all goes through here, and I've just put the skin line just above it. Where if I put the skin line here, I'd be like flicking up into the skin, if this makes sense, into these bones, and that's just a nightmare to fade on. You can do it, but there's just no need to, for the sake of just moving it a tiny bit. So I'm going to close to the 0 now, and I'm just going to flick that line away. Maybe need to use the trimmers a little bit as well. And opening it and just going into that little line that it creates above it. Taking a little step back and checking it. There we go. Seems to catch it there. Sometimes you just need to adjust the angle or press a little bit harder or go a tiny bit shorter. Once you've done the main part of the fade, you're not really like doing it by guard anymore. You're just trying to match the colours together by eye, by flicking through the levers and using the corners and picking away. And you're just using these very, very end teeth, because you can slide into the fade higher up at a shorter length than if you were flat with a clipper like that, because you're not going to cut all the hairs, you're just going to cut the ones that the teeth catch. So if you aim for the darker areas whilst picking in like that, you only cut the darker areas. And if you need a little 0.5 guard, just to go between the 1 and the 0.5, sometimes you get a little bit of darkness just above the 0 and to the 0.5 there. You just need to soften it a tiny, tiny little bit. So this is like a 0.5, like if you had the guard off, but it just adds a tiny extra little bit of length to it with a bit of plastic, so it's like a slightly longer version of it. You see you can go way higher up into the fade with this guard as well. Open it up to like almost a 1 and pick into these darker areas. You can use your trimmers on little areas like this where it's still got darker hairs but at the shorter lengths. harder to fade out. You can just pick into there, lighten up the areas around it. And then if there's any strength at the front, you can just chuck a little shape up in as well. There's not really a lot here because his hair is so blonde, but you can still clean the edge up a little bit. I like to use my finger as a rest and just draw a little seek up in with the corner. You can get the 0.5 guard and just smooth all this bit out. And then scissor over comb. And just soften this a little bit. Prefer using this than clipper over comb on, because it's so specific and so subtle on this bit here. A lot of people like clipper over comb though, so it's kind of just whatever you like the most, I think. See people do the majority of their haircuts with clipper over comb, and their fades can be pretty banging on, or bang on I should say. And then just check it in the mirror. Probably just smooth this a tiny bit in here still. Sometimes like using the mirror to like see it from a distance, lets you see things in it as well that like you can't see when you're up close and you're just zoned in on specific details of it. And we'll get the beard down a bit as well. You can use the 0.5 guard or the, what's that, 1.5 guard. I'm just going to go with the grain just to smooth off any little straggly hairs. Come back up, debulk it down. And you're just basically doing the same process but the opposite way around. So we're getting the one guard. Make sure you're always brushing this down as well, because you can see the direction of his hair is growing this way. Right, I'm going to get my 1.5 guard. I'm just going to lift this up and shake it a little bit. I use my finger here to hold it. Then go in again. And bring your head right down. Get the 1.5 guard opened up. And I'm just going to smooth this down. We're just trying to take as much of the bend out of them as we can. And then we can get the trimmers. And we can put a bit of an angle in here. So bring your head down like that though. I'm just going to take that just to the hairline there. So this kind of stuff's good for people who have short haircuts and they get their hair cut a lot. If you bang this on like a shape up like this into someone's hair and they come in every 6 weeks, it's probably a bit too high maintenance for someone who's not a regular, because it can grow out quite bad on people's hair. But for people who have short hair and want to tame the cows looking, this is a good little technique. Didn't get hay fever all day until we started doing this.
You normally get that?
Sometimes. Just random, mate.
Not in case of shit.
Yeah. I'm even just lifting under and then pushing it back a bit to bend the hairs from growing forwards and sticking out the way. And then all we have to do is fade the back and shape up the rest of the beard. This bit's the bit people usually find the hardest because it's always the bumpiest bit, but it's also the densest too, so you can push it just a little bit higher and it usually looks lower. It's the same process, except for I'm bumping off this bone into this bone and then the head's like dipping away into here too, so just be careful. You don't want to dig in there and like round it off or shave his crown off either. If you find it easier as well, you can kind of do the back in 2 halves. You can almost use the actual bones as like little ramps to flick into the next bit too. I'm just going to use this to give myself a tiny bit more room. Push up a tiny bit into there. That's the thing about descending down the way with your fading. It's quite easy to just change the guard and just push it a little bit higher, where sometimes with the more guideline-y techniques, you're pretty much just dictating where it is straight away, and it's kind of hard to stretch it out or push it down again or push it up. It's doable though. And tilt a tiny bit down there, bro. I'm actually using the mirror as well here just to merge the side and the back in properly. Just looking over my shoulder there as I'm doing it. customer's head position is important as well, so you always got to be adjusting and moving them around. And make sure the angle that you're looking at it is like, you don't want them right up like this where you're looking down on the fade, because you can't see. And you don't want them too far forward, right like that, where like you're fading like this. You kind of want to be able to see the whole fade and the way the light's shining on it, but still have a good angle to flick at what you're doing. I'm quite tall as well, so you got to be brutal with pushing their head around. If you're smaller, it might be easier, but you never want to end up down like that trying to fade. You know, stand with as good posture as you can, so you can last in this game. You're supposed to be counting, mate.
Chill out.
And the last thing, get a fresh blade and shape up the rest of the beard. I'm not a master of this, so I'm not going to give any advice on doing any of this. I can just do the cheeks, which is all you need. So pulling the skin obviously away with the blade and just working down to the line. Jamie's on his moisturiser because there's no white line. People be freaking out because I've not got any gloves on as well. I'll swap sides there. You don't have to wear gloves in the UK. You just have to wash your hands.
What's the rules with the gloves like?
I think in a lot of places you've got to wear the latex gloves. But so same on this side. I'll do this bit in here as well on this side, show you. And then just be careful when you're stretching it as well, because you can see how much it changes where the line is. We also don't want to not stretch it and then yank or tug on the skin or nick it, so just do it bit by bit. Make sure you don't eat into it too much. Try and get that above that wee spot there. And then work around the back of that. Okay guys, that is the finished product. Pretty much how I do my fades, nearly every haircut, nearly every fade. Obviously I showed you a few different ways to tweak it and mix it up if you want to do that, or if you find other ways easier, but yeah, not much else to show you. Nice easy trim, 8 on top, little shape up, skin fade. Can do it in the salon all day, every day. Yeah, there you go, simple as that. If you want to see more tutorials as well, subscribe, comment what else you want to see, and we'll read them all and make sure we make videos for all the different things you want. Thank you.